not too long ago, I was working in a job, and I was working for a guy who decided he wanted certain things out of me in the place that I was working. Well, that's pretty common, right? You pretty much expect that that's going to happen. This individual began at some point to basically lose trust in my work. And I tried very hard to make it so that I regained his trust, but I never did manage that, and that to this day bothers me quite a bit. Now, there's not much I can do about it because he basically made his decision. This is how things are going to be for me. I don't trust you, and therefore I can't really use the way that you do work. I don't like that. I don't want that. Given the opportunity, I'll do everything that I can to keep it from happening, but I know sometimes that's going to be the case. It just is. The more places you work, the more chance there is that such a thing will be the case. I'm not going to get into details on exactly what happened, and I really don't need to. But I want to point something out. This individual had a trust in me to a certain level, to a certain degree, and he lost that trust in me. And when he did so, he found that he couldn't really use me, even though he very easily could have found ways to do exactly that. For whatever reason, he chose not to. And I suppose part of the reason is that I try to couch and present myself as a fairly trustworthy individual as a rule. And, by the way, most people consider me rather senior in the things that I do. There are some people who I have paid attention to in the past, and this is true particularly where news and politics are concerned, who have managed to lose my trust. Maybe you shouldn't be too surprised to hear that, except when I tell you that some of them have literally had my trust for more than a year, and some of them maybe even for multiple years, and in the course of time, they are coming to places where I just don't feel like I can trust them anymore. Now, these people were people that I considered to be pretty highly trustworthy individuals. So when they lost my trust, it was a serious fall on their part, and one that's not going to be easily regained. That trust is not going to be easily regained for those individuals. That's just not how that's going to work. When a person, you should always, I'll put a start here, you should always be looking at what people are saying and deciding whether or not they're living up to the expectations that you have for them. And I'm not saying everybody's always going to be successful in doing that. When somebody does something that basically makes your trust in them take an absolute nosedive, they shouldn't be surprised when it's really hard for them to regain that which they've lost. Now, in this case, the person probably doesn't even know they lost trust in me. In fact, they probably don't even really know that they ever had it, the person, the group. But literally, I'm pretty sure that that group has gone from a huge following to a following that's still pretty big, but not nearly as big as it was, a year ago. I'm pretty sure of that. And I think that they've got the reason for that wrong. There's a guy I've talked about before. He is a podcaster and so forth. His name is Tim Pool, and Tim believes that a lot of what's happening in the news cycle with lots of people taking a dive is not based on anything directly they've done. Let me help you, Tim. Yeah, it is. Maybe not all of it. I'm not saying all of it is. Some of it is just people knocking down the news cycle, not being all that interested in the news cycle. I can go with that. I can agree with that. Where we disagree, though, is that a lot of what these people are doing is not what's causing the problem. I'm not going to get into who, but the person that I'm talking about, in fact, a couple of groups that I'm talking about, basically said things in which I could not agree, with which I could not agree, and in which I could not believe at all. They not only couldn't sway me, but there really probably was no way to sway me based on what I knew at that point in time. Okay, and they started saying things that were just not, there just was no way. One group started to say something was true without any possibility of knowing that it was the case. One individual tried to say something was not true whether in his opinion or not, was not true, and didn't understand how anybody could believe that. And guess what? I did and do. To this day, I still believe the thing that he tried to tell me I shouldn't be able to believe because I don't have the proof. The problem is, the thing that I'm talking about never got to see the light of day in a meaningful way. So the idea that I should just kowtow to the, or toe the line on the idea that it wasn't what I was believing wasn't true. I'm even to this day, okay, I'm willing to admit that I could be wrong. To this day. To this day, as far as I know, that same individual is unwilling to do likewise. Still unwilling to do likewise. And he, I will go that far, I won't tell you who again, lost my trust as a result of that. If you're willing to take stances, look, if you say, I don't think this is true, okay, fine. If you say, I don't see how you can think this is true, maybe you need to do a little bit of research. Look, there are people out there who believe things I don't, and I look at them and I go, gosh, I don't know how that can be true. It doesn't mean it isn't. It just means that I don't know how it is. And they haven't shown me sufficiently to make me believe it. That's okay. It's okay for you not to believe or agree as I do. It's not okay for you to start to belittle me or talk me down because I believe as I do, though. If you can show me that what I'm saying is crazy, is wrong in some serious way, well, okay, we can at least talk about the fact that I'm wrong. And maybe I'm wrong. But please don't try and couch things in such ways as to say this is true or this isn't true when you don't know, and try and make me look foolish as a result of something that I believe that you don't. Okay? It's okay that you don't believe it. Just like it's okay that I don't believe what you do. I can get along with you. I can work with you. I can deal with you, even if we don't believe the same way. That doesn't mean that we're not going to disagree. It doesn't mean that we're not going to have problems, but I can still trust you. And in fact, I trust you a little more as a result of your being willing to say, I don't believe what you believe. I trust you a little more because that's part of life. People say things, people believe things that other people do not believe. But when you start to put yourself in a place where I can no longer trust you, guess what? I'm going to stop trusting you. I'm going to stop. And I expect you to do the same thing where I'm concerned. If you think that what I'm saying is stuff that you can't trust, you should probably stop trusting me. And unless I can earn your trust back again, you should probably continue to stop trusting me. That's life. That's how that works. It's why I try to be a person who's not all that harsh when I talk about a lot of things, regardless of what I believe, quite frankly. I try not to be harsh about it because I figure it this way. If I'm right, sooner or later, you'll learn that that's the case. If I'm wrong, well, you may not. It depends on how willing you are to deceive yourself. But if I'm wrong, sooner or later, the chances are good that I might learn that that's the case, and I might actually become more willing to hold with what you hold. There are certain people who've said things that initially I kind of went, I don't know, I'm not sure about that. And in the long run, I've gone, yep, that's right. There are other people who I've held with the idea that what they thought was really good, really solid, and then they've gone off the deep end, or at least I have come to realize that I do not agree with or believe those things that they do. By the way, if you're hearing my son in the background, it is Sunday and he will hear me. And I should say, today is, by the way, Sunday, the 4th of April of 2021. I don't think I said that. This is the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host. I'm Kurt. Welcome to everybody who's on Rumble, on the podcast, and on YouTube. Subject of today's video, I'm quite sure you figured out by now, is losing trust. Anyway, but I just wanted to say to you that you need to be very careful, because when you do something that makes it so that you lose trust with somebody, you may never regain that. That may just never come back. It's true for me and it's true for you, and it's happened to me, and I don't like it, and I don't ever want that to happen if I can avoid it, and I hope that you're the same way. And I don't care how popular or how famous you are. I hope that you're more interested in whether or not you're trustworthy than whether or not you're famous or popular. All right. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up. As I say, this is the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host. I'm Kurt. Today is Sunday, the 4th of April, 2021. Thanks to everybody who's come on Rumble, on the podcast, and on YouTube. Tomorrow will be Monday, the 5th of April of 2021. As I say, today is actually my daughter's birthday, and of course it is the celebration of Easter. Today we've talked about losing trust. Tomorrow's subject will be why leave. That's what we're going to talk about tomorrow. That's an interesting question that I have for people who are coming to the United States. Call it immigration, call it illegal immigration, call it illegal aliens, whatever you want to call it. But the question is, why leave? That's the question. Okay. Hope you're having a good day today. I'm having a reasonably good one myself. I'm kind of taking it easy today, even though it is Easter Sunday. As I say, I hope that things are going well for you, and hopefully we will see you again tomorrow. The speaker on this edition of the Daily Summation is Kurt Schubert. This video is recorded on the 4th of April, 2021. Daily Summation is created for Kurt's Religion and Politics. Thanks for watching this edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I hope you found it entertaining or instructional, or maybe both. If you want to see more from me, you can go to blogs.kpschubert.com. That's blogs.kpschubert.com. I am on Twitter, Parler, and Minds.com. My handle on each of those is @KPSchubert. That's @KPSHUBERT. I have a Rumble and a YouTube channel. They are the Kurt's Religion and Politics channels on Rumble and YouTube. I have a Facebook page. The Facebook page is Kurt's Religion and Politics as well. I am on Patreon. If you want to support me, that's one of the better places you can do that. And you will find me at Kurt's Religion and Politics on Patreon. I have a podcast. The podcast is podcasts with an S .kpschubert.com. That's podcasts.kpschubert.com. I think you should be able to find me with relative ease on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify as well. The best way I find to do that is to look for Kurt's Religion and Politics. You can try to use the Daily Summation. I find that it doesn't work as well as a general rule, but you can always try that. I'm glad to have you aboard today, and hopefully we will see you again tomorrow.